It's Beth from True North Media Company. I figured I'd pop in here just to give a little quick video. January, while it was very long and dark, dealing with some colds and stuff like that, so I haven't had a chance to record a lot of stuff because of that. But we're finally in February, thank goodness. And there's so many events that are already starting to pop up for the spring. And I figured I'd just give a little kind of update to keep you informed about what's on the digital space that will be coming your way pretty soon. So February is generally, we'll call it preparatory time for whatever it is that you're going to be planning to do for this year, whether it's travel, whether it's focusing on still getting to those New Year's revolutions and resolutions. And if you struggle with winter, one of the key things that's really important for your wellness is not only supplementing with vitamin D and trying to get outside, or whenever it's warm, when the sun is out, trying to get outside, but to really contemplate how winter overall has been treating you. Winter can be hard, especially if you live anywhere cold. It's hard on the body. It's hard on the joints. I was just teaching my restorative yoga class this morning and talking to some of my students that even if you just do a little bit of movement each day, that's really beneficial for your synovial joints. Breath work is always a key thing that we try to talk about in yoga, and promoting that sense of respiratory wellness, which we all know more than likely you've struggled with this season. This season has been really, really hard. Whether you get flu vaccines and whatnot, we're just around people and we're human. So we are prone to that. An interesting thing that has come about, the Global Wellness Institute, if you are not familiar with them, they are an international entity who not only looks at the whole cultural practices of wellness, but they do these interesting annual reports. And they just came out with their 2025 global trends for what's going to be coming up, or what you can focus on for your wellness practices, whether it's traveling and going to someplace for wellness, or you just incorporating it into your daily life. Some of the things are kind of common, well known. So one of the big things that they mentioned is that sauna, or working in both a dry heat environment or a moist heat environment, I consider both of them heat therapies. And depending on your nature, any physical health conditions, getting yourself into some of those sauna-like places can be beneficial. They're also tying it into building wellness communities around places that offer these types of wellness amenities. So whether it's at your health club, or if you're taking a holiday, maybe you're going to try one of the hammam type of spas on your holiday, and it's trending. So who knew? Things that are ancient traditions are coming back around. I'm definitely going to give you a little update on my blog about more of the details in that. But if you are interested, you can go to Global Wellness Institute and download the report for you. I think it's maybe like around $100 or something like that. And there's also much free information on their website. So go to Global Wellness Institute and check it out. All right. So I'm still working on my Iceland podcast and series. I promise you I'm going to get it out this month. I've just been waiting for my voice to sound a little bit better. And I had the opportunity in January to interview the folks from Midgard Base Camp in Iceland. In August, I did a whole little tour around Iceland, and I chose specifically Midgard Base Camp to go into Þórsmörk National Park and do some hiking and explore some of the Game of Thrones locations, but just to kind of get a feel for what traveling inland in Iceland is like. You absolutely need a particular type of vehicle to be able to go into some of these regions, and uh, I'll give some highlights from that trip in the blog. But stay tuned for the podcast, because I did get a chance to interview some of the owners, and they have some really exciting stuff that they're going to be working and focusing on for 2025 and 2026. Guys, it's Star Wars. I had to change the background to make it official. So last year when I decided to do a podcast and I started to chat about the notion of going to the Star Wars celebration in Japan. I've been to Japan before. It's been over 20 years. And I do have kind of an interesting story with Star Wars and a family connection there. And I'm really excited to be able to go to the Star Wars celebration in April. It's at Makuhari Messe in the Chiba prefecture of Japan, which is not that far from Tokyo. Two things. What I've discovered is that there's a lot of places that you can go and see in Tokyo and around Tokyo itself. Oddly enough, I also came across a specific Visit Chiba website, and there's a variety of stuff that you can just do even in the area around Makuhari Messe if you're not wanting to do a lot of travel. If you have not gone to Japan before and you do not speak Japanese, I do always encourage people whenever they go to another country to at least get to learn some basic polite phrases, common courtesy, and to really be mindful of, we'll say, common custom practices that are both frowned upon and looked at as you being a good traveler. Being a good traveler means respecting other cultures' practices, obviously laws. You always want to obey laws when you're in another country. And so, for example, I want to be able to go to onsens, or not really hot springs, but onsens. And my understanding is that old school mentality, people with tattoos are frowned upon and they're not welcome. And maybe in certain areas, it's still hardly practiced that you can't go in, or you definitely have to cover up your tattoos. I've gotten a lot of different feedback from a variety of groups that I'm in, where some people are saying, it's lax, it's okay, you'll be fine. And then some say, well, just be respectful. So in general, just be respectful, honor the rules of the hotel or the place that you're staying, and don't be afraid to ask for help. People obviously mainly speak Japanese in Japan, but people do speak other languages. English is a common language. And with everything that's going on at the celebration, you're going to see a lot of unique cultures. That is one of the things that I think why I'm so drawn to Star Wars, is that they are talking about celebrating many different ways of life and coming together absolutely at these type of cons to express that joy and happiness for something that maybe you just like watching the movies, maybe you've been a collector. I grew up in the 70s, so I have been a fan of Star Wars since I was a little girl. And what a great way to combine two unique things, Star Wars and Japan. So as we get closer to April, we're going to try to do a little bit more about traveling to Japan and things to consider. Of course, the last thing that I'll say is April is probably one of the busiest times to visit Japan. It is both cherry blossom season. That's mainly, it starts, kind of May-ish or March, and then up into May. And also at the end of April is Golden Week, which is a common holiday for Japanese. All right, we're going to move on to some other news. So my next favorite niche, if you've watched any of my stuff on socials, you know that I'm also a big fan of, yes, more Outlander stuff. I am going to go to C2E2, which is a very well-known popular con. It happens every year at the McCormick Place in downtown Chicago. And I'm going to give a shout out to Sassenach City for letting me know that both Sam, David, and Charles are going to be now at C2E2. It is, oddly enough, the weekend before I go to Japan for the Star Wars celebration. But it's right at home. It's, downtown Chicago is 40 minutes away. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity to go and get a photo with the three of them. The nice thing about when you go to cons and you want to do photo ops, they can be pricey, especially the bigger the name of the actor. But what's nice about photo ops is many times they'll allow anywhere from 3 to 4 people to take that photo with either that trio, that duo, or the single actor. So it can become more cost effective for you. And that's what my friends and I are doing. So I'm really excited. My friend Jessica, I'll give a little shout out to her. She and I became friends because we attended the Sassenach City Outlander event in Kansas City last November. And we got to be roomies, and we are still friends. And she's going to come up to Chicago. And then we're also going to Scotland in September for the LandCon Edinburgh event. So we got 2 Outlander events that we're going to get to explore. And it's nice to see the actors up close. It's nice to hear about them outside of just seeing them on the screen. And it's also a great way to, again, build community of like-minded individuals. One last really kind of cool thing. This February 14th, Valentine's Day, Sassenach Spirits and Sam are doing a little tour. They did this a couple years ago where they'll go to either a Binny's or ABC liquor stores, and they're selling either the gin or the Sassenach whiskey. And you get to go and you get to have a photo and your bottle signed. And when I tried to go to the one, I think it was August 2023 that they had in Lincoln Park, Chicago, I had to work that day. So I got there a little bit late, and I kid you not, the line wrapped around the back of the building, and it was pouring rain also. So we were all standing out in the rain, just waiting. And the manager, he kept checking in with people in line, and he said, as long as you get in the door, you're good. You'll be able to do the bottle signing, buy whatever you like, and then take the photo. So we made it in the door, and literally, the line's weaving up, and we get close. We get to see like where, the table is. And all of a sudden we just see Sam waving, bye, thanks a lot. And I thought, oh no. So I'm not missing out this opportunity because Oak Brook, Illinois is actually closer to where I live. And I've already bought my whiskey. It's great whiskey, by the way. If you are not a fan of single malt, or you're afraid of like the peaty type of whiskeys, this one is not. It's not really a Speyside quality, but it's still a gentle dram. It's a little bit pricey, I'll be honest with you, but it's worth it. So yeah, that's my little quick update, and stay tuned over the next couple months. We're going to give you a little recap. Also, real quick, the travel and adventure show just happened last weekend in Chicago, and got to listen to some great travel writers, got to connect with a few of my friends over at Fairbanks, Alaska, Explore Fairbanks. And I'll just give a little recap on my YouTube channel. So head on over to True North Media Company. You can follow us on all of our socials and enjoy the rest of your February. Cheers.